Hello, Jonny.
Hello, Ed. How you doing?
Yeah, good. Well, exciting news over the weekend, and it wasn't Slate Kosh, you know, the amazing flying. I saw you there. Wasn't it fantastic?
It was great fun.
It was the amazing news. Van surprised us all by revealing a teaser video of the RV-15 engineering prototype. Now, some photos leaked out on the web, some very fuzzy photos, and the internet started going mad. So Van's obviously decided to get ahead and hey, tease some information. There's some fantastic video that gives us a little bit of insight into some of the details of this really kind of hotly anticipated aeroplane, the first high wing aeroplane from Van's aircraft. So we thought it would be fun to take a look at the video and look at, we'll grab a few stills from that and see what things we can learn from the things that Vans has shared with us so far. So Jonny, run that video.
Yeah, let's have a look.
That is one big cabin.
Yes, it's enormous, isn't it?
Yeah, I know it's the 360 view on the world, but that is one big cabin. Well, it was enough video to make the internet go mad.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And that really, I mean, it's got that clearly that prop has got a good old whine on it as they dial it on. And it certainly gets off the ground. It's hard to, you know, we don't know what the runway length and stuff is there, but it certainly gets off the ground really fast. So we figured let's take a look at some shots and see what we can figure out from that. They certainly given us a really good teaser so far.
There's been lots of sort of fan-made, you know, guesses as to what it might look like over the past year or so since they talked about it Oshkosh last year, haven't they? And we spoke to Greg a week, 2 weeks ago now, and I think he kind of confirmed then that there was almost no commonality between this and any other previous RV type.
That's it, yeah. And I think there was a lot of speculation. It's like, oh, Vans, it's going to be, it's almost certainly going to be a cantilever wing. Well, actually, guess what? This has got struts. There's going to be a real big reason for this, and while it is possible to make a cantilever aeroplane, you're going to end up with a really big spar carry through in that cabin. And as we saw, that cabin was a really big, light, airy place. So struts means a lighter wing structure, and still have the strength. And hey, actually, a strut's sometimes kind of useful, isn't it? You know, it's a handy thing to put. You know, you can hang yourself from it when you're camping.
Yeah, we've seen people hanging bikes off them, guns off them, all sorts.
Yeah, and they're handy for moving the aeroplane. And there's the internet's been polarized so far. It's like, oh my god, it's got struts. But actually, a lot of people, it's like, well, it's fine. And actually, I'd go for struts. I think it's completely fits the image of this aeroplane. So yeah. What else have we learned? Well, certainly at the front here, obviously we've got what looks like a Lycoming cowling, and pretty much that noise that we hear on takeoff, that's going to be Lycoming. A few people speculated, is it going to be Rotax? If you look at the bottom of the cowling, you'll see two exhaust stacks, and this is a very similar cowl setup to the IO390 EXP 119, that the 215 horsepower engine that's in the RV-14. And it would make sense to me that, given the superb firewall forward package that Vans have made for the RV-14, where it's all just taken out the box, put it together, that they would have taken that whole engine package, all that firewall forward, and gone, you know what, we'll use it on this aeroplane.
Yeah.
if you look, there's a prop. I saw a slightly better still shot of this, and where the prop was a black coloured Hartzell, and that kind of suggests that it's one of the Hartzell Trailblazer home built carbon fibre propellers. There's one specifically for the IO390 engine, and they're pretty big diameters. They start at 76 inches up to 83 inches. So fans are hinted it's like this thing's going to have a big prop on it, and it's certainly got the ground clearance by the looks on that gear. So I think we can be fairly sure there's going to be there's a big prop here. So other things, obviously, we've got the gear. So no, Vans is famous for the kind of the round spring steel rod. This is clearly a big departure. So it looks like flats, and it's either, I'm guessing, probably flat aluminium gear, probably, maybe from one of the gear specialists like Grove. Anyway, it's you've got these quite big mount points on the outside of the aeroplane for the main gear. And there's been some speculation about that being, because you go, well, backcountry capable, it's probably not just going to rely on the spring nature of the gear. There's some damping in this as well. So I would put money on the fact that there's inside the fuselage there, you've got some internal damping, which is going to be perfect for going backcountry. And the same goes for this tail wheel at the back of the aeroplane. You've got a front pivot, and a nice big arm, and look, there's what looks to be a big damper that vanishes up inside that rear fuselage. So all in all, you've got an amazingly solid gear there that looks like the kind of thing where you could kind of throw that at the ground. It's going to absorb the lumps and bumps, and make sure you kind of it kind of evens out the kind of worst you can throw at it. And I think it's kind of important to remind people at this time. A few people so far have been going, it's no, a Super Cub's going to be better than this. And don't forget, Van said this is going to be a backcountry capable aeroplane. It's not like the best backcountry aeroplane ever created. This is going to be an aeroplane, and from the looks of it, I'm going to guess maybe 130, 140 knot cruise.
Yeah.
With that power. So you think it's a backcountry aeroplane that you can fly fast into the backcountry, but it's got rugged gear. We'll have another look at some other shots, but it looks like it's got big flaps and big, quite sophisticated flaps. That's it's going to be speedy into the backcountry, good gear to absorb those lumps and bumps, fly slow. Land. Who knows how slow it's going to land, but I think it's remembering this is going to be Van's take on a backcountry aeroplane. This won't be the best, but it certainly won't be it won't underdeliver, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a bit like the aerobatic models. They're not built to compete.
No,
but they're built to be able to do something, and
that's it. Yeah,
and they do it well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a little bit of something good all round. What else have we got? Hey, there's this. So big fin, that is a few people have gone, hey, this has got a massive fin on it. Why have they done that? I would guess, if you've got a backcountry aeroplane, there's a certain, there's a contingent of the market that wants to stick it on floats. And I would bet that there's some capability to put this on floats. So you can probably be sure that there's some structure in that fuselage that's going to allow mounting floats in the future. And float planes always like having a nice big vertical stabilizer and rudder. So, and hey, if it's Vans, surely that you're gonna, if you want to put it on floats, I bet they'll give you an aluminium kit for some floats sealed with some Pro Seal. You can make your own floats. So, and what else? Oh, finally, something else that we can learn here. Yeah, so big tailplane. But also, it's not actually tailplane, fixed tailplane and moving elevators. This is an all-flying stabilator, and if you look, there's clearly an opening there where the whole thing can move, and it's worth showing at this point one of the rear shots. If you look, this has got massive flaps. There's Fowler flap tracks all along the flaps, and these flaps are what, 2/3, probably more than that, of the span of the wing. So this thing, and if in some of the shots you can see that the flaps clearly go down a long way, and when you do that, you need a lot of pitch authority to counteract that and trim, and obviously be able to trim against that, because it gives you a lot of pitch change. So clearly they've thought about that, and this is going to be an aeroplane where you're going to have always, you are really, it's going to make you feel in control of that and gives you that kind of confident feeling, because when you're flying slow in the backcountry, you want the aeroplane to feel right in the palm of your hand, don't you? So but yeah, so all flying tail. What else did this tell us? So the 3/4 view, it looks pretty nice, quite deep there. I love those the big doors with the I think hopefully that's going to make it to production. But big clear doors. I mean, who doesn't want that kind of visibility? One thing we can tell is the technology that kind of began to evolve on the RV-10 and onto the RV-12 and went onto the 14 as well, is that when you buy the empennage kit, I'm betting there's a nice big join there at just after the cabin. So I'm betting that when you buy the empennage, you're probably going to get a huge chunk of tail cone as well to construct, and you're going to assemble a cockpit module onto a rear fuselage there. So, but this is a big, deep aeroplane. And as we see from I'll go to the cabin photos here. This is a massive cabin. And if you look how far back that cabin goes, and you just go, so you can see where the cabin windows stop, and there's another bay behind that, and we just go back to that fuselage. You can kind of take a guess at where that's coming back to. On there, this is a massive space, but that's kind of looking like a great place to be. Things that this cabin photo tells us. Well, we certainly see up here, there's some bell cranks in the wing roots, and Vans is famous for great control feel, and that's always through push rod controls. So I think we can see here that even though we've gone high wing, certainly this is going to be ailerons up here. So I think we can rely on the fact the ailerons are going to be real silky smooth and have great feel. What else? Oh yeah, in the middle of the cabin. Massive, great flap handle. I know all the backcountry guys like to be able to reach up and easily grab a handful of flap. Manual flaps, you want to be able to pull them on and off. You have that, ease of control. So no electric flaps here. Nice and simple. Nice big lever as well. Lots of leverage. And again, we're seeing what is likely to be prototype setup here. It may change, but I'm guessing that I'm hearing some rumors that so far Vans are pretty happy. They found that this prototype has delivered a lot more than they were possibly expecting, and they're they're actually pretty happy with where they are right now.
Good. It would be good to find out more details at Oshkosh, I guess.
There's a lot of speculation. It's like when the aeroplane's in-flight test. So I wonder that people are going, I wonder whether it'll make it to Oshkosh. Who knows? Fans haven't yet said if it'll definitely be there. I put money on it making it there, because the internet's going to be on fire between now and Oshkosh. And I'm sure there's going to be something there. Maybe they've even got like a cabin demonstrator, so that people can have a look around. Have a
go sleeping inside it.
Yeah, it's like, hey, camp in the RV-15. I have to say, I'm a bit with Ian on that. It's like, I'm not sure about sleeping in aeroplanes. It's like you wake up, it's cold, the aeroplane's full of condensation. But hey, sometimes you go somewhere and it's like, I didn't bring the tent, I'm going to need to camp. What else? So we've looked at the flat handle. One odd thing that's been catching a few people are going, hey, what's the weird box next to the test pilot? The test pilot here, I'm pretty sure this is Axel Alvarez, who works for Vans. He's a pretty accomplished test pilot guy, RV4 builder, but he's doing a bit of a stig there behind his visor. Anyway, next to Axel here is a tank, and I think from what little Vans have been suggesting in some of their replies on YouTube, is that actually at the moment they're still kind of figuring where they're going to put the fuel. So at the moment, this is currently just a purely prototype fixture. So there's a tank, there's a few with fuel here in the cabin. I think we can probably guess that then there's going to be wing tanks. Obviously, you've got, we have looked at the fact that up in the wing roots, there's aileron control stuff. So it's not going to be a leading edge tank like Vans RVs of the past. But I'm sure they can still figure something out for putting a tank in the wing somewhere. So, but yeah, so in the short term, it's like, don't panic. They haven't gone mad. This is just a prototype fixture. So, and other things prototype. I haven't marked it out, but a few people have gone, hey, what's the funny grab handles on the side? And hey, this is a prototype, and you'll see that Axel's wearing a parachute. And when you fly things like this for the first time, you want to be able to, if anything does go wrong, it's quick release on the doors, and obviously you can bail out. So don't expect there to be quick release handles on the doors when you get your kit RV-15.
No, is there any indication actually? If we look at this, you can see you've got the normal, the kind of ball handle that many RVs have got for door opening on the top.
Oh yeah.
Is there any indication as to where it's hinged?
I think it looks. I got all excited when I saw photos of the door opening initially, and I thought, oh, it's going to be hinged at the top edge, and I'm going to put my hand up here now and say I am definitely going to build an RV-15. But I think if you look at it, I think there are hinge points on the front lower edges, certainly midway and bottom edge. And again, it's a prototype aeroplane. We don't know whether Vans have got something different in mind. I'd love it to be top hinged and open up, so that you could fly. You don't necessarily have to remove the doors to fly with no doors on. And it could just be that at the moment, to make it easy, they put some fixture points on that leading edge, and you just pull up. If you need to jettison the doors in flight test, pull on that. It pulls pins out. The doors fall away. Yeah. I'm gonna pitch my hopes on the fact that might be a top hinge door by the time it makes it to production. But big doors, I know they are cracking size doors. I love that. And again, there's been some. Sorry, Johnny.
I was just going to say it's the first RV where you can actually get a good view of the ground.
I know. Yeah. A few people have been speculating. People have gone, oh, it's backcountry aeroplane, and I'm going to have to load all my stuff in through the door over the seats. Again, people, don't panic. This is an engineering prototype. Vans are kind of finding their way before they lock down the smaller elements of the design. So you can be sure that they won't have forgotten about maybe putting a door in the side for baggage. And there's you can easily imagine an RV-10 size baggage door going in underneath that window, giving you access to that huge baggage area that we see. And again, speculation. We're just guessing what they might do, but I think it's very easy to go, oh, they haven't done this, and it's like Vans are still figuring it out themselves right now. And this is just to go, this engineering prototype, and they're keen to keep reinforcing the fact that it's engineering prototype. This is just to purely prove it's like, we've made a great flying aeroplane. The little details. We can finish off. A few people are going, there's, some things are unfair. To be fair, I would say, backcountry aeroplane, do you want plush gear fairings? I'm sure it would look great with some beautiful leg fairings and some other stuff and some spats. But if you take it, that would be an option. Yeah, you don't want spats. So,
no. Are we looking at almost, I can't quite tell, but Horner type wingtips, a bit like the sort of RV4, RV6. I can't quite get a grip of the shape there.
Yeah, they're not Horner tips in the typical they haven't got that classic upswept, sweep up, but they are a departure to what we've seen on the more modern, the more recent kits. On the 14, there's been like, Vans developed something like that. It was the kind of the back wing tip, which extended the span a little bit. There was a lot of speculation over what the wing profile was going to be, and I'd heard some intel. I was talking to a light manufacturer, and they let slip that they were doing something, and they mentioned the RV-15, and it's like, oh, and they mentioned the RV-10 and the RV-14 in the same sentence. And it's like, I wonder whether that's an indication that this is going to be the RV-14 wing. But again, it's like Greg says, this is using lots of new, unique stuff to Vans, and this wingtip is not quite like any wingtip I've seen on other RVs. So yeah, it's a good spot there, Jonny. It's definitely something different again. So and obviously we can see on that wing, on that left wing, you've got a really big long pitot. Obviously, the standard airplane is going to have a regular pitot. At the moment, when in flight test, you want good, clean air data. So you put your pitot on this big, long probe. So that's not going to be standard. By the time,
although I'm sure we'll see a few with GoPro sticks in that same position.
Oh yeah, and it could, because it's going to be the classic, the infinity pole, isn't it? So everyone loves doing a bit of filming. So
they do.
What other things I'm just trying to think. Oh, in the cabin, obviously we know we've got struts, so we don't need the big spar carry through. So you've just got this very slim cabin structure, which really opens up the cabin space, and that combined with these, I love these roof windows. That's fantastic. You want that visibility. You want to be able to, if you roll into a turn, it's nice to be able to glance up through the roof and see, where you're going. So I love that. I think that is fantastic. I know people like, you're either a high wing guy or a low wing guy, but I think you can add enough visibility into a cabin to make it feel open and airy. And I think those doors, the nice deep windscreen. There was always the speculation that if you went with a big carry through, you end up with a really tall windscreen, because the wing has to be so high, so much higher to get the spar out of the way. And a few people have already quizzed the looks on this. It's like, oh, I was expecting something a bit prettier. This is a tough. You can't. There's so many design challenges, and I think this is a great looking. This is like, it's like a Cessna 170, 180 for the modern day. It's kind of got me. This is the right kind of looks. This is just this is a great looking airplane.
And it'll completely transform on, if there are fairings and once it's painted and everything. So people are just looking at, what's effectively not a blank page, but still something. So
that's it. Yeah, there's been lots of people going, oh, there's loads of scope for cleanup here, and I'm sure looking back at the under. You look at that front gear leg. That's a huge mounting. It's fair to say that you could probably come up with a nice. You could have a kind of nice teardrop intersection fairing. It would be fairly big, but that would be pretty robust, and there's a lot of cleanup there. And Vans are always good at the kind of attention to the detail things. So, and I think we can be fairly sure that there's going to be some nice composite stuff in this aeroplane. One big thing that they have capability to do right from the outset with prototype aeroplanes. And in the past, it's always been a difficult thing. You make a prototype, and you get all the little bits of intersection. It's like, and the fiberglass on the tips and things like that. If you're into new territory, it's like, well, when do we commit to making the molds to make the parts? And it's like, well, until we know it's definitely going to be right, we don't want to commit to that. But they've got the capability now with CNC machining. They can go, hey, we'll 3D print. We think it's going to be this, so we'll 3D print a mold. We'll make some. So it's looking. I'd probably stress to people that if you look at it and you think, wow, this is a really great looking, well finished airplane already. They can use a lot of tech here to go, hey, we'll make a prototype mold for the cowl, and that gives you it looks pretty finished already. But again, they have the technology to kind of chop and change and create something that looks great all the way through the test program. But yeah, I think we're not going to be disappointed. I think if you want to fare it up to the eyeballs and have an occasional backcountry aeroplane, but otherwise you're just doing a lot, a bit of grass strip flying, and you want the maximum drag reduction, I think there's going to be that stuff out there to do that. Other bits I just spotted, nice Behringer, as I'm not surprised, Behringer wheels and brakes. The tail wheel as well is Behringer, and they've got Behringer, well known for really cracky, and you want good solid brakes for a backcountry aeroplane. I'm not a good judge of wheel size, but I'd say that they look like 6-inch wheels. And I would put money on the fact that this is not the smallest, this is not the biggest tire you will see on an RV-15. I reckon it's going to get competition
at the moment, aren't they? So
who can fit the biggest? It'll be the biggest tires. I did a while ago. They posted, and there was a post on Facebook or Instagram where there was a hint. They had some big tires in the shop. I think some big Airstreaks or whatever they were. And I think people back then were going, "Oh, this must be for the RV-14." They're not in these photos, but I bet they've probably been doing some calculations and going, because that will get you a few people will be going, "Oh, I need more prop clearance." Well, I'll put some bigger tires on it. So, any other thoughts there, Jonny?
No, I mean, let's have a quick look through this again and just see what we notice. I mean,
it's certainly. And this is early test flights. We could, if we'd probably been a bit smarter, we probably could have figured out exactly. It's certainly not a big ground roll on that, is it?
No.
So, I think it looks great. It looks nice, and from what you can tell here, the fact that they're flying a bit of formation early on in the test program suggests that actually this is a pretty nice flying aeroplane already. So
yeah.
Well, one thing I haven't just noticed, it looks like there's. You see on the back of the stabilator.
Yeah.
Again, you're going to have a servo tab. Looks like it's already grown some little flattener strips across the very back end. So that's all to do with control feel and stuff. So, but yeah, this is just nice looking aeroplane. So I can't wait, and I think it's very easy to get swept up in the excitement of going, "Oh my God, it's flown already!" And it's like it'll go to Oshkosh and it'll be like, "Take my money," because the internet's full of the whole "take my money" memes already. But it takes quite a way to get from a proof of concept aeroplane to a fully kitted product, and Vans have ended up. That they now sell aeroplanes that are really well. The plans and the building documentation and stuff is a huge. It's Greg said it when he was on live stream.
Say that
it's a huge part of the whole building experience for people now, and people are building. The RV-14 is first time builders are putting those together in 15-18 months. So it's a really well thought out product that just assembles. This is the RV kits. The more modern kits now are more about assembly rather than scratch building, having to make bits. It's like take bits out of the box, put them together, and that's the path to real quick progress. And it takes a long time. It takes a chunk of time to turn something that's proof of concept into that kit that you can deliver to customers. If I had to guess, I'd say maybe we're going to have to wait a year. Certainly 9 months, a year, to get to a point where we're signing order forms for aeroplanes, and that Vans are confident that they're going, we're ready to deliver those to customers. But this is just they're world's biggest kit plane manufacturer unveils a new aeroplane. It's always going to be a red letter day.
Yeah.
And sure enough, it nearly did break the internet. So.
Yeah, although I'm sure with those leaked photos, they would have been anticipating that would happen, and they were pretty quick off the mark to get the video out. So I'm sure.
I think the fact that they were. It's a good point there, Jonny. The fact that they were quick off the mark to get that done. I think actually, I would guess the RV-15's probably been flying at least a month. So they've got this material there. So yeah, I think they were probably hoping to keep it under wraps a bit longer. But it's difficult, and they've done some cunning things. If you look, I know the registration of this one. There's a registration that was floating around. I think it was November 4/15 X-ray, and people were like, "Oh, it's the RV-15." It's like, no, vans are not going to be that obvious, And in the world of ADS-B tracking, obviously, but they'd sneakily. So 7357, November 7357, is actually the registration for something in the FAA register, an RV-8X. Now, obviously, I'm sure vans have got all sorts of super secret squirrel projects out there, but I'm guessing that they transferred that reg maybe from something else to this. And people don't know. And obviously, I'm sure there's been people sat around at Aurora Airport, their HQ, going, "Am I going to see it? Am I going to see it? Is that it? Is that it?" But clearly, someone got lucky, and it clearly had the lowest res camera phone going, because they weren't really detailed photos, but they were just enough for people to start speculating.
It was probably somebody who was not going there with the intention of finding the RV-15, seeing it and going, "I think that might be it," and just getting their phone out.
Well, that's it. I remember I spoke to one of the Vans guys a long time ago, and it was when they were doing the RV-14. It's like, well, because they pitched up at Oshkosh with a fully tested, fully painted aeroplane, and people were like, "Oh my God, this is amazing!" And it's like, "How did you do this?" And they said, "Well, it looks pretty much just like other RVs, so we didn't paint it." And he said, "We hid it in plain sight. He said, sometimes people would walk past it and not even question it." So, but clearly, a high wing aeroplane with a few Vans design cues, that's going to be a harder thing to hide, isn't it? So, yeah, I can't wait. Who knows when we might get our hands on it? But yeah, no, I think that's good. As you know, they've got the history for making great products, so I'm sure this is going to be another winner. But don't bank on being able to order it straight away. So yeah. So you're going to get one, Jonny, or are you going to stick with your RV6?
Oh, I do love the 6, but if I had help to build, I'd love a high wing. High wing RV would be brilliant. But I think I'd need help building.
Well, it's easier than you think. It's easier than you think. So I know that I often hear Dave's mantra. Dave's like, "Well, I wouldn't fly anything I built." But actually, that's the great thing about modern kits, is you can do it. I've mentored a few people who've been first-time builders, and actually, this is why having great instructions and fantastic bits of kit that you just pull out of the box, and they just kind of assemble together. So, and it makes, you don't need mega engineering skills to put modern kits together. That not just for vans, but for other manufacturers. There's some real capable kits and easy to assemble nowadays. So, yeah, there's hope, and I'm sure it'll take a while to get an LAA approved RV-15. But I'm hoping it's not going to be as long as we waited for the RV-14. So maybe. So let's see what happens. But yeah, great stuff. I'm really looking forward to it, and obviously we'll be bringing you more details about it when we find out more at Oshkosh. Maybe we'll see it, but when we do, we'll bring it to you. So until then, we'll leave you. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, we'll leave you with this thought. Jonny, I reckon you should run that video one more time. So if you've enjoyed this content, don't forget, like, comment and subscribe to our YouTube feed.
And if you want more of the same stuff and lots of written content as well, then you can join the Flyer Club at flyer.co.uk/membership.